Okay, it's been a while since I made an update on the skin market, more accurately on the knife market or the gold market. And that's my last video that I made about this topic. And in this video, I made the prediction that was on the one day before the trade ban was over for all the new crafted knives. So everyone expected a crash. It didn't crash. The prices went up like crazy. And I said I'm going to predict that the prices are going to peak and then fall off straight to where they were on the first day of the update. So I said we will see a second crash. And I love it when I'm right. Let's take a look at some of the knives. Let's take a look at this one. Doppler Phase 3 on Skinport, one of the biggest marketplaces in Europe. We can see the day of the update. It was traded here for roughly 430 euros and then it bounced back up like all the other skins. It went back up and now it's completely crashed down to 360. I think one was sold for 200 for 300, roughly that price. This one is a kind of exception, but let's take a look at, for example, the Skeleton Fate, a pretty nice knife. This one crashed on the day of the update down to 570 and went back up straight to 1000 on the day of the trade ban was over, or 2 days after. So now it's down to 550. I could go around and show you more knives now. Whoops, I closed something. But that's not the point. Some of the knives didn't bounce completely back down again. Some of them stayed roughly a bit higher. Let's take a look at the Butterfly Vanilla. It's a bad example, I'm sorry. This one used to be 2,500 euros. It crashed to 1,000. It bounced back up to 170. 1,700, and now it's traded for roughly 1,400. I saw some knives that bounced back up and dipped a bit and then stayed pretty accurately around where it bounced back up. So we have a few knives that are completely crashing still, some really good knives. For example, here we can take a look at Skinfloat, CS Float. That's pretty much the biggest marketplace in Europe, I think. Should be the biggest one. We can see, for example, here Butterfly Bayonet Doppler Phase 1 completely crashed from 600 euros down to 330 and it bounced back up to basically 500 euros and it's back down, completely back down. My prediction was in the last video that the reason for that is that all the people who want to buy the knives are buying them on the first few days after the trade ban is over. So many people want to buy, but there are not that many knives going into the market now. And the next few weeks and days, more knives will become tradable in the market. And the amount of people that want to buy knives is going to decrease over time, and the amount of people who want to sell the knives is going to increase over time, and that's why we will see a second crash. And I was right. But the question for this video is, should you buy now a knife or should you wait? And it's difficult. The prediction that we will see a second crash was not that difficult to make. I think no one made it except me. But if you followed my logic, it was pretty obvious that it's very likely that this is going to happen. And to predict the future now is really difficult. I want to take a look at something interesting now. If you want to check knife prices and histories, or every skin history, then I'm usually on csgoskins.gg. And if we take a look, for example, at the Bayonet Doppler here, then we will see a different picture. This is what we are seeing. We will see a complete crash, then it rebounded, and then it stayed a bit under the rebounds. So that's what I talked about a few minutes ago. And the reason why this graph looks completely different to the graph of the European markets, like this one doesn't look like this one at all, or like this one at all. The reason is that csfloat.com is a European marketplace and Skinport as well, and csgoskins.gg looks at every marketplace, so it looks also at the Chinese marketplace. And the biggest crash in knife prices was on the Chinese marketplace, so these insane dips are the Chinese marketplace. So we can now see that the Chinese are back in the market, because that's why we don't see a bigger dip, or that's why we see it rebounding. We see that the prices are dropping in Europe, still dropping for some knives, some not, but some knives are still dropping. Most of the knives are, I think, still dropping, or dropped. The peak, the lowest point was, I think, 2 weeks ago. Some got back up again a bit, but overall we see that the market is not rebounded for most knives. But here it looks really consistent again. So it's very likely that the Chinese are probably buying back into the skin market, and that is really important to see gains again, because let's take a look at the overall. This here is the Counter-Strike 2 hype. That was a complete and insane increase in price for knives, or every skin. Then we saw it flopping because Counter-Strike 2 wasn't that popular on the release. And then we see a big increase again, and that's mostly the Chinese buying into the skins like crazy. Sorry, I needed some air because it's not really breezy in here. Where did I stop? Okay, I'm saying that the Chinese are back into the game. The Chinese are buying knives again like crazy, and usually, the main question of this video is, should you buy a knife now or should you still wait? Because we can see that, for example here, if we look at this graph, then people would say, okay, I'm still waiting. The prices are still crashing. If we look at the csfloat skin, the skin is still crashing. If we look at the Skeleton Fate, the prices are still crashing, kind of. We have here the lowest point of all time for this one. Actually, the lowest point of probably the whole history of this knife. This knife was never that cheap than it's now, probably. So many people would think that they should wait, and I'm not sure. Maybe you should. But we can see that on the global market, the prices are pretty stable again. And my prediction for the long run, for example, for the next 2 years, is that the knife prices are going to go back up again. A lot, probably. I think in 2 years, the prices are back at this peak or at this point, or maybe even higher. Because the amount of reds that are available for trade-ups is not that big. And they get very expensive now. And not many people are going to do this in the future, I think. Or not as many as people are unboxing knives. And the Chinese are back into the game, I think, and are buying in like crazy. So we will see something like this again. For example here, we will see a climb again on the long run. In the next few months, it's really difficult to predict, but usually the rule was that the highest price point for skins was usually in March, I think, and then we saw the summer drop because people are selling their skins in summer because they're not playing Counter-Strike. And when we are going to the colder time of the year, people are back at home, people are still playing or are playing again Counter-Strike, and they want to buy their knives back, and that's why prices are going up again. That was the rule back in the days. But if I look at graphs, for example, let's take a look at this graph, then we would expect this one to be in March, okay. that's accurate. Then this one should be okay, actually around March as well. But now let's take a look at here. Is that March? March? Okay, it's March, but that was the Counter-Strike 2 hype. Okay, but this one. Okay, never mind, it's March again, or April. But this peak it's peaking in the summer. That doesn't make any sense. We saw a small fall off, and I think that the Chinese are the biggest buyer at the moment for skins, and I think that most Chinese people who buy skins are not actually playing the game. I think, or not really playing the game. I think most of them are just collecting skins or investing in skins or doing market manipulation. So I think that in the future, it's not really that important anymore what time of the year it is. It's more important about how many Chinese are there buying skins. So usually I would say buy your skins in the summer, or buy them at a Steam summer sale or winter sale or something like that. But I think that the prices could be back up until summer. If we reach summer, I think the prices are higher than they are now. And that's why I bought a knife a few days ago, and I'm thinking about buying another one, because I think that now is pretty much the best time to buy a knife. Maybe we will see cheaper prices in 1 or 2 months, but not by much. Maybe 10%, 20 at max, but not lower than that. I don't think that we'll see, for example, a Bayonet Doppler is right now for $400. I don't think that we will see this one for $200 in the next year. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe it's dipping down to $350, but not lower than that, I think. And in the next 1 or 2 years, I think this one is going to be back up by a lot. I think we will see prices back at 700, for example. And what knife should you buy? It's difficult. I would look out for knives that saw a big increase in price over the time and have a really low price compared to that now, because that seems to be knives that are popular in China. If we take a look at this one, we see a big increase. And funny is that if we take a look at Lore knives, for example the Bayonet Lore, and look at all time, then we see it didn't increase in the last 2 years. It looks like the Chinese don't like Lore knives. So that's something that I would look out for. For example, if we take a look at here, that's something. It's hard to tell this one, but overall, we see that the demand was not there for Bayonet Lore knives. I think Bayonet Lores or Lore in general is one of the best finishes. I like it, but the Chinese don't like it. At least that's what I think. So that's why the price is not increasing in the last 2 years, or didn't increase in the last 2 years. And if we take a look at some, for example, the Skeleton Fade, or the Vanilla, for example, then we see a knife that is extremely, never mind, it's not. Yeah, it kinda is. I saw one knife that was basically a straight line. Maybe it was this one, but on the Steam market. That's maybe the case. Some knives are really stable. Some increased insanely much in the last 2 years. For example, is that the Bayonet Doppler? Yes, it is. This one is on an up run. This one is not. So I would look out for knives that were on an up run and are now really cheap. For example, the Bayonet Doppler should be something that is a good investment, I think. But it's really hard to tell. I think this one would be good. I think that something like this would still be decent, but not as good, but it's hard to tell. But should you buy knives now? I think yes, I would buy a knife now, and I did. So have fun buying some knives. Bye bye.